It's just really close to April Fool's Day. But as tempting as this was, I think we're going to talk about gold instead. So it seems like the calls to buy the dip or posts about silver and gold getting clobbered are coming in pretty regularly now. I even made a video about how a market correction or crash would push the price of gold down further, and how there are a number of sources predicting that we might see that as soon as April. Now, none of that is to say that it will actually happen, but if the market does correct, the part about gold dropping as well, that's a pretty safe bet. And nothing that we're seeing right now with falling spot prices is based on a stock market correction. So in other words, we could see a much bigger drop in price. Now, the other thing that I mentioned in that video, though, is that if the market does correct or crash, with 10% or more being considered a crash, the thought held by many sources is that once gold finds its floor, it would be a pivot point, with gold then going on to climb to new highs. Now, all of that is 100% speculation. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the markets. But the YouTube chorus is saying that now is the time to buy. And I'm a little suspicious of that in general. I'm personally buying again, but I'm not buying with money that I could use to buy next month on a possible further dip. And I don't know, do we call that a double dip? I'm not really sure. Yeah, I think if we take everything in moderation, it makes sense. So if we could tone down that buying advice, I think it still is valid. Now, I'm pretty new to the YouTube precious metal space still, but what I've found is that the majority of channels can find reasons that they think we should be buying regardless of which direction the prices are going, or how aggressively they're going in that direction. Now, it's really only been a few weeks since those channels were in a scramble trying to organize silver raids to buy up all the silver at crazy high premiums because it might be the last chance to buy. Clearly, that was bad advice. So what I'd say about timing purchases is that you should try to get a hold of as much information as you can to inform what you're doing, and then not go too wild. Let your rational side of your brain come in to help you make your own decisions. I personally think that right now is a great time to buy if you're dollar cost averaging, because it will bring down your average cost if you've been buying for the last 12 months. Now, personally, I don't know that this is the bottom. I don't know that this is the place to back up the truck for, unless you're saying that more tongue-in-cheek, because I think it's fun to buy when the prices go down, and I know I'm a little bit more enthusiastic when the prices are low, even if I think the trend might be going down a little bit further. And given the wider economic picture, I kind of do think it's going down further. I'd expect prices to go down further in the short term and then up in the long term. And the reason I think it's going to go up long term is just all the reasons that make people feel like the price of gold should be a lot higher right now at the moment. So I do think that right now is a good time to be buying. And I also think that there's a scenario that could play out where we see a bigger drop in spot as early as next month. And I'm going to be buying at that point as well. Now, this is really a longer term play for me. And so I'm not trying to forecast here. I imagine that I'm thinking about all the same things that you are. I'm also, though, not ignoring what's going on with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I mean, personally, I'm continuing to buy crypto as well. I just think that it's good planning to diversify across the spectrum, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are definitely two of my top performers over the last year, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Jim Cramer has even recommended 5% of your portfolio now should be in gold and 5% in Bitcoin. He'd been saying 10% in gold for a very long time. Now, I'm definitely not encouraging any particular buying interest in Bitcoin at all. But what I would say is that if you're treating gold as an investment and it's your primary darling, then the kinds of dips that some of us will celebrate as buying opportunities are going to look a lot more like a failure in gold and silver if you're just looking at it as a primary investment. So like I mentioned, it does feel like a good time to be buying gold to me, but not a good time to be going all in. And the same goes for silver if that's your preference. Now, I think there has been a lot of really bad information lately. The predictions are not playing out. And the easy analogy is that the band is kind of playing as the Titanic sinks, but I just don't think that gold or silver is the Titanic. I don't think it's sinking. I think it's more of a cycle. So maybe the better analogy is like the rain dance, where you continue to dance until it rains, thereby confirming that your dance worked. Again, if you just ratchet down that advice, buying makes sense if you're dollar cost averaging. Because if you're definitely getting a better price today than you were previously. Like right now, at the time of this recording, Silver Gold Bull has a 1 ounce Britannia for 5% premium. That's $1,765 US, and that's a much better price than the Britannia I bought last October. And I will take it. So I was just asked what I would buy if $4,000 was given to me. Now, it has nothing to do with that stimulus conversation from a while back, but anyway, it was a little bit of a joke. And I said, this is not advice, that I would buy one ounce Britannia, $1,000 in Bitcoin, and a Shirogorov knife. Obviously, that is not good advice. The joke part was that I don't think people operate rationally when they get a sudden windfall of money. So if someone gives me $4,000, I'm going to use it differently than if it was my own $4,000 that I earned. Anyway, now, I don't know how much that I would change there, though. Obviously, I'd skip the knife, but I don't know which direction I'd go with that extra $1,000. I'm not sure if it would go into gold. I would probably drop it into the stock market, even though it feels like a lot of the stocks I'm interested in are in a little bit of a bubble right now. I would probably buy Apple stock. And the reason I bring any of this up again is really just to say that I'm not all in on gold at these prices. A lot of the current slide is simply based on the US dollar being at 4-month highs. That just brings down the price of all commodities, so it's not a fundamental issue with gold, and it could be short-lived. But if we see the price drop below 1640, I think that's the level that a lot of analysts are calling out. If we go below 1640, then it could slide all the way to 1500. That is a level of discussion that, quite honestly, is just above my pay grade. And earlier when I said I was enthusiastic about price drops, well, it's partially because I can get online and I can look for the kinds of things that I wouldn't previously buy and actually consider a coin that normally has a much higher premium, pick that one up for the price of, say, like this Buffalo that I got last week. Now, that's not good advice either, but it's where my mind goes when it feels like gold is selling at a discount. The problem is that there just aren't a lot of new releases right now. Otherwise, this might have been a good time to pick up, say, like the double P shell from the Perth Mint. Now, I already have that one, of course. I got it at a fantastic deal, so I'm certainly not going to pick up another. But that's the kind of thing that I look at. And if there was a series that I was really into right now, that'd be pretty exciting. I mean, the only thing that I can find is the Kong versus Godzilla coins, and those just don't do it for me. So again, that Britannia looks like a really good buy right now. And good buy is always relative. I've had a feeling that April is going to be an interesting month for a while now for the price of gold and for silver. So I'll be watching it the next few weeks. I don't think it's going to change my long-term outlook for gold, whatever it does, but I am hoping to get a hold of a short-term fix if we do see a slide. So 3 things. I don't think gold is a sinking ship. I don't think we've found the floor. And I don't think we're on the verge of a massive breakout. I think we're actually somewhere in the middle. I think we're in a good window to keep buying, and that's what I'm doing personally. So, if you know of anything cooler than a double P shell gold coin that I should be buying instead of that Britannia, let me know soon. And let us know what you think. Are you buying at the current price, or do you think it's going to go higher, go lower over the next month? I'm curious. And if you don't mind hitting that like button, I will take that as well, of course. Either way, though, thank you again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.